Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back for another Real Housewives of Potomac. This episode to me really didn't give much, but let's go ahead and jump into it. So we see Giselle and her girls talking. She says that she says these ladies, but she's really talking about Mia. Mia can say whatever she wants, but her girls are doing good. That Angel had a 4.2 average and Adora had a 3.9 average, and they're going on to HBCUs to further the generation of college graduates from historically black colleges, right? So Giselle says that in all of the things that have going on, one of the things that she now has to work on is her dad's will. Because 2 days after his death, someone threw away his original will and presented a will that was not what was originally shown to Giselle years ago. Giselle says that she knows that it had to be forged because the signature on it isn't her dad's. Because at the time where it was signed, that he couldn't even hold a pen or write or focus or do any of those things because of how sick he was and how the cancer had advanced. So somebody tried to switch things up. So basically, with the will that was presented, her dad left the kids nothing and left her nothing. And she said, even if he didn't take care of me, he would have made sure that he took care of them grandbabies because he loved those grandbabies. And he was very much so talking about and encouraging the importance of generational wealth. So because of this situation, she's now going to have to go to court to try to fight it and get that taken care of so that everything can work out the way that it's supposed to. As a result of that, and because Jamal is now engaged, her and Jamal had certain discussions because she wants to make sure that no matter what, her girls are protected. One thing about Giselle is, even though she gets on my nerves often, when it comes to her kids, I like her because she moves in a way where you can tell she's trying to think of their best interest. So she said that she talked with Jamal because she wanted to know that if anything should happen, that her girls would be protected, meaning even if he got married, that the girls would be okay. Jamal said to her, they'll be good because I put a trust for each one of them. And Giselle said that's even better than a will because it supersedes anything else like I can't think of the word right now. The thing that you do for marriage, a prenup, that it supersedes all of that stuff. So they talk about, well, Mom, what are you going to do? And Jill's like, you shouldn't have to worry about me because I don't have any intentions of getting married. So they're like, well, maybe you should create a trust for us too, just in case that changes. I like that they're doing this. These are important discussions to have. You should be talking to your children about this. I know myself, I've had certain discussions as a result of, things that have happened in the family, and wills at all ages are important because at this point, we see young people that are going early. We see people in their early 30s and 40s. Like, no age, it doesn't have limits. Okay, on to TJ and Stacey. So TJ and Stacey, yes, I'm rolling my eyes because I'm so tired of them in this situation and their dynamic. They are at her place and he's over there acting like he is in a restaurant and he's making a pizza and he's using a satin bonnet as his chef hat. Stacey claims that she doesn't wear those. That's new for me. I mean, maybe I have a silk pillow. Sometimes I put on my scarf or my bonnet. Sometimes I have the pillow. It really depends on my hairstyle at the time and what I'm trying to do underneath. But Stacey says she doesn't do satin bonnets. He feels like he was still upset about what happened 2 weeks ago because she didn't handle the situation with him correctly at Wendy's party. He said it was stressful for him. And when he said it was stressful for him, I made a face like, stressful for you? And Stacey said it. Stressful for you how? He said, because you treated me like I was a Uber, you had me ride you there just for you to be all over the place and spending time with these other people for 4 hours and you weren't even talking to me. And she apologizes for it. She's like, I thought that he would have been okay with the guys, but I've already apologized. And she has. And my question is, she's apologized to TJ, but has TJ apologized to her? Because the way that he spoke with her was uncalled for as well. But we don't see her even address that. We just see her apologizing for what she said. You need to tell him how to talk to you, Stacey, because I didn't like how he spoke with you. So the subject of mediation comes up, and he asks if Stacey considered to hire a forensic accountant, somebody to look more into these accounts that she didn't know about. And she's like, no. I personally would have wanted to find out more about the account situation, but Stacey very much so seems to still think that her husband is going to do right by her. So she's like, we probably have 3 more appointments before things are settled, and I'll go from there. So she tells us that she's very careful about what she discloses with TJ because of the sensitivity of the situation, and because TJ has never been married and it's not his place to know. The whole point of this, married or not, to me, is that it's not his place to know. That is not your man. And even if he was your man, you still don't have to disclose certain information. He doesn't need to be privy to your financial situation. And he isn't trying to be in that space with you as of yet. So you still got to protect you. Smartest thing she said was, it's not his place to know. So Stacey lets TJ know that the lady suggested that she slow things down, that she shouldn't rush into something so serious because she was in her marriage for a long time, and that she shouldn't just rush to just do everything with him. He's like, okay, that's not a big deal that they're saying that. But you having sex with a bunch of people doesn't fix that. I don't always feel like it's about sex, but for whatever reason, it comes back to sex every time. He says divorce is a traumatic experience because it is a loss. And she's like, yes, it is. So would you be okay with continuing this journey with me, even if I were to see other people? And he's like, look, I care about you, but I'm not going to close myself off to other options if you're going to date other people. He then brings up sex again and says that for him, sex has never been a casual thing. He's not sleeping with anyone unless he has a relationship. No judgment there. He's saying that, but that's not what she wants to hear from him. What she wants is for him to say that he doesn't want anybody else but her. And she kind of tells him that, but he feels like he doesn't need to say that, and he's not going to say that. What he's going to say instead is that he cares about her, and that he doesn't want to stop her if he loves her. He shouldn't stop her if she's willing to be with somebody else. And it ends with him saying, like, I would like, for you to choose me, but you don't have to. Stacey, go. He's really, it's something about him that I don't know if it's because we know he's an actor or what, but I just don't feel like he has all the feels for Stacey. And it's not even on a physical thing. I just don't see the chemistry there. But y'all tell me what you think. So we see Wendy. Wendy is out with her sister and mother because she has to let her mom know that she resigned as a professor at the university. We are reminded that in Nigerian culture, you're expected to be a doctor, a lawyer, and your last choice is an engineer. So Wendy is going to tell her mom. So they sit down, and as Wendy is ordering drinks, as she's finishing telling the waitress to add more to something, her mother starts to pray as Wendy is talking. It doesn't require all of that, especially because the food isn't even in front of you at this moment. So Wendy is still talking as her mother is praying, and she tells Wendy that she's being rude. You're talking and I'm praying, but you started praying while she was talking. Anyways, so they talk about the party and how good it was and how nice it was to see the family together. I was surprised her mother didn't act up right there, but she didn't. Wendy tells her mom that, they've had talks prior and she's not doing, things anymore just because she has to. And she asks, she goes to grab her hand and she's looking at her like, oh, but they hold hands. And she says, Mom, I recently resigned from my position at the university. And her mother says, are you crazy? I've lost my appetite. She wants to know, like, what are you going to do? Where are you going if you're not working there? And Wendy's like, I have my talk show that I want to work on. I want to be there more for my kids. I want to be more present. She's like, I have been so proud of my kids. I've been so proud of them. And right now I'm just lost. Wendy's like, look, Mom, bottom line is I wasn't happy there. It came down to me being tolerated and me not being appreciated, which makes her mother pause. And her mother's like, you know what? Okay. I don't want you all to be chained. I want you to pursue the things that make you happy. So the conversation surprisingly goes over well. On to Giselle and Ashley and the speed dating thing that I don't care anything about. So they went speed dating. Ashley's looking for a husband that's attractive, tall, and well endowed, whereas Giselle is just looking to have a good time. Some of the guys knew they were coming because we saw one guy who said he did a little bit of research to find out what flowers Ashley liked, and he presented her with a beautiful arrangement of flowers for her birthday. Ashley, I'm seeing her talking to the different men, and I just see Ashley continues to pick a certain look of a man, just like Giselle seems to pick a certain look of a man. Ashley has daddy issues, but this time she's decided to go younger. So Ashley is enjoying flirting while Giselle is just trying to get through it. Giselle is interested in this man named Noms. He is 42 and he's her type. And Ashley ends up going on a date with the 30-year-old Josh. We'll get to it. So we see Karen and Ray talk. She says that, she's been waking up early every morning and she's had time to reflect, and she's realizing that she was just so angry and she was an emotional wreck when it came to Ray because she felt like Ray wasn't there before the accident for her the way that she was there for him. And it's something about the way she says it that makes me feel like it's yet another excuse as to why you're in the situation that you're in. And I'm over it. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. I don't want to talk about the accident anymore, Karen, because we're not talking about it. We're talking around it. So he tells her he's been trying. She's like, she sees that. He's like, I've even been your taxi cab at times so you don't get behind the wheel. Karen's like, we're in a better place and I don't want us to take these 28 years that we've been together for granted again. And they're going to continue to fight through it. Me and Kieran meet up to talk about Gordon some more. Interesting how you had all these jokes about mental health and her man and all these other things. But now for the purposes of you continuing this narrative, like Gordon is so manic and out of control, you're going to meet up with Kieran to have this discussion. And Kieran is not even a mental health professional. I'm just saying. So are you really concerned? No, you're not. So she keeps talking about the manic episode that Gordon is having, even though he's on the phone with her and he sounds extremely calm to me. She feels like because Kieran works for the man that's in this field, that she's the person to talk to. Kierna, however, tells us she does not have a professional take on this, but she does work with Greg and she's had some experiences of her own. She says this situation is triggering for Gordon because Gordon's mind is still set on thinking that he has a chance, that she doesn't think that it's a good idea that they stay in the same building and things of that nature. Mia claims that Gordon asked if he would be, if she thinks Ink would be okay with them getting back together and just not being intimate. Let them tell it that's what they were doing for years. Let them tell it Gordon had problems with performing and she was given a pass to do certain things. It just wasn't supposed to be with Ink. So what are we talking about here? I don't even think he said that. Mia's still trying to push this narrative that Ink may be Jeremiah's, even though she doesn't think he is, and she's going to do a DNA test. And Kieran's looking at her like this because the boy looks like Gordon. They look a lot alike. But she's over here trying to make it seem like Ink and Jeremiah look so much alike. And then she says, Ink is fathering him. No, he's not fathering him. He has a father. This chick is really trying to push Gordon out of the picture, and I don't like it. So she tells her, look, I'm going to give you some paperwork that I'm going to get from Greg that will help you track things as well as it's going to help you navigate his manic episodes. My thing is this. Greg should have been meeting with her so he could bill her. Greg, get your billable hours if you're going to send off that paperwork. Because Mia is trying to skirt around this to fill a scene. Make sure you get what your money's worth. Because I don't know if he's a licensed clinical social worker or something. But either way, you got a business and you charge for this thing that Kieran was doing. So you do it so that you can get your money. Go ahead and write up your progress note. So Ashley goes out on her date with Josh. They play beer pong. We find out that 2 years ago, Josh had thyroid cancer. He's since been in remission and he's doing well. He says he's okay with her having kids. The winner of whatever gets a kiss, and that's that. I was really bored at that scene. On to Mia. Mia. So Mia is at home and she's talking to Jeremiah about the situation with her and Gordon. He's telling her, like, Mom, I don't remember you saying that, because she's talking about divorce. And he was like, I don't remember you saying that. I don't remember you telling us that you guys were getting a divorce. Gordon comes here to the house right when they're talking about this. This was planned. He walks in and she's like, we're making cookies for their teachers and we're talking about us getting divorced. I was telling the kids that mommy and daddy are going to get a divorce, but it doesn't mean that we love them any less. Jeremiah is like, I'm sad about this. And Gordon says, it's okay to be sad. I agree. It's natural. All parents should understand that with this type of situation, being sad and confused and angry and hurt, all of those would be a part of the process. I personally would be concerned if he wasn't expressing that he was hurt, if he wasn't expressing that he was upset, because y'all are changing what he's known for his life. So Gordon says, this is something that mommy and daddy want. And Mia's like, oh, so you do want a divorce? Why are we doing this in front of the kids? If you truly, Mia, want this to be a healthy dynamic for your kids, Gordon as well, then you all need to have a clinician involved in this process so it could be handled with care. The same way you went to Kieran for that crap, you need to go to Greg or somebody else for this. You're not handling it correctly. So Gordon says, look, this is something that you wanted to do, and I've just, resigned the fact that I got to go ahead and just deal with it because it's what you want. We're getting a divorce. I don't think this conversation should be had in front of the kids. You need to talk about this at another time, because the kids don't need to know the ins and outs of this situation and who's at fault and who's not and all that other stuff. Not necessary. So Mia starts asking, do you guys know what marriage is? Well, marriage is when you find someone that you love very, very much. So you guys get married and then you have babies. So his daughter's like, where did you guys find each other? And Gordon says, Charlotte. And she says, Charlotte? Where in Charlotte? So he says a particular area. And she's like, no, like at what place? And he says, the club. Jeremiah starts singing a song that Mia said, go ahead and sing your song, about his parents sitting in tree, Kissing. Mia's like, I can't climb trees. And as this is going on, the daughter is whispering something to Gordon. Now, we can't hear it, but the subtitles are up there. And the question was, what if Mr. Ink wants to actually marry mommy? So Gordon's like, that's up to your mom. I can't answer that question. You have to ask your mom about it. These kids should not be forced to deal with any of these adults. None of them. Because none of them are handling this situation correctly. Mia talks about how sometimes in marriage, people grow apart. And she's like, are you guys okay with mommy and daddy not staying together forever? And her daughter says, no, you can't marry Mr. Ink. No. And she makes a comment and Mia's like, okay. Mia tells us that she hopes over time that, they change their mind. She sends the kids to the room. And Gordon's like, look, we got to do this again because this conversation was disjointed. It was all over the place. And I don't think we accomplished anything. Mia's like, I've worked very hard to protect. I worked very hard, Gordon, to protect them. And their innocence is important to me. And I don't want to expose them. I want to keep their innocence. You ruined their innocence the moment that you decided to bring this story to television. You ruined their innocence the moment that you decided that you were going to bring Ink around, even though you haven't even explained things to your kids about your current situation. You couldn't wait because you were so hot in the pants to have this man around you and around your kids. Their innocence is gone. You've killed it. You ruined it with this whole paternity situation. You ruined it with putting all this in their face. So why are you sitting here trying to act like you care about their innocence? He says, we have to allow them to understand what is going on so that they don't repeat our cycle. I don't want them to have this type of life or dynamic. She says, well, I want them to know that, their value and their worth and when it's time to leave. That doesn't have anything to do with what he's saying here. Ink is talking about how he wants to make sure his kids are good, and you're still trying to make this about you and why you had to leave. She tells she tells him that she met with Kierna, and one of the things that Kierna said is that they need to set boundaries, and him living in the same building isn't good. She then says she also thinks that Ink needs to set boundaries with him because she's not emotionally available for Ink because she's always concerned about Gordon, and she needs to set boundaries with him, and they really got to work on the divorce. That lady really likes to pick at Gordon, and she really wanted him to say something else because Ink don't have anything to do with the other situation. Like that's of no concern. But y'all, let me know what you thought of this episode. If there's something that I missed that you want to talk about, feel free to put it down below. Like the video as it helps the channel. I'm on the road to 2,000 and I hope to get there sooner than later. Until next time.